Hello, hello, hello. Sit and sip a while. I'm Karena, and welcome back to the Witch's Inn. If you are new here, thank you so much for joining me. If this resonates with you, be sure to like and subscribe. Hit that little bell so that you know when I'm notified, or what you're notified when I'm going live. And if you are a generational witch here, thank you so much for joining me. Oh, my sister's joining us. Hello, Erica. Hi, how are you? I love and miss you. um, so today we have a Taurus moon. It's in a waxing gibbous phase. So before we get into this like big hot mess that is kind of leading into the full moon in Gemini / Cancer on December 19th, let me know what you're sipping on this morning. What is like warming the cockles of your heart? What is allowing you to sink in deeper and just really enjoy this moment that we have together, regardless if you're watching live or if you were watching the replay. I have been sipping on in the morning lots of coffee. But what I've been finding is that I'm really enjoying switching, being into a little bit more of like a stillness kind of feeling in the afternoon, and really enjoying some green tea and peppermint. So that's what I'm sipping on today. All right. So we are in a conversation with Spirit and the moon. All right. So yesterday, the moon switched or transitioned from Aries, these new beginnings, this real deep dive into self, where we want to go, what we want to be doing, into Taurus, this like stability. What do I need in order to get there? And you may have noticed that I have kind of marked this video as I Can Lie and Say I Like It Like That. And yes, it is a line from a Billie Eilish song, because like Queen, right? But as I was kind of like meditating and listening to this song today, I was like thinking to myself, like, that's actually exactly what the energy is for this Taurus moon leading out of eclipse season, when we have that full moon happening on the 19th, and then going into Venus retrograde, because that we on the same day, like we have Chiron, which is the wounded healer. It's a little asteroid that kind of travels around the world. And if you know Chiron's story at all, he was the trainer to quite a few gods. And um, he ended up being hurt by, I believe it was Hercules. And so he kind of he became this little asteroid in the ethers, and every year he goes retrograde. And this year he goes direct on the same day that we have the full moon, the same day that Venus really goes retrograde. So we kind of been having this shadowy period up until this point. So we might have been feeling, and really the energy that's building over this week, and maybe even into December, you may have noticed, is that like I'm no longer willing to lie to myself about what I need and what I want in order to create stability, not in my outer world, but in my inner world. And so 2021 has been really kind of like groundbreaking, right? I pulled out the 2 tower cards in the decks that are sitting next to me. And what I noticed is that both have lightning coming from the top and going down into the structure of, both actually are they're towers, they're tower moments. So when a tower moment kind of comes up in tarot, we're it's a surprise. Something is happening that's going to shake our foundation. Doesn't necessarily have to be for the bad, although quite often, depending on the positioning of the cards around it, it can be like, oh, you're about to go into a spiritual awakening. You're about to really discover who you are, where this foundation is for you. Or the surprise can be it's creating a greater stability, creating a greater foundation for you. And really, depending on how your perspective is, something that comes into your sphere that might be negative could create a positive just as much as a positive coming in to create a positive, right? Like it all depends on what you're kind of wanting. So something I've been talking a lot about alignment lately. And I think that under the Taurus moon, it's a really great time to talk about alignment, especially with these tower moments, especially going into this really cosmic time. We're ending eclipse season on Sunday with the Gemini Cancer full moon, Chiron going direct, Venus retrograde happening in the sign of Capricorn. This is a lot of hard work. So, like, where can we create stability? Where can we create more alignment in our life? And what really keeps coming back to me is instead of this focus, because oftentimes when we're talking about alignment, we're talking about focus. Where's your gaze? What is your perspective on life? Instead of saying, I don't want more of this, because then our brain, our intuition, the universe that we kind of live in goes, okay, more of this then. Going, I really enjoy when this happens. I really enjoy when I get to participate, or when my body comes alive, or when this feels really good to me. And the more that we do that, the more that we sink into this feeling, we're going to have these tower moments happen in our lives. Why? Because we're no longer going to be able to deny or lie to ourselves that what we were, I don't want to say settling for, but what we were creating before in our lives just simply won't cut it. So, like, I could lie and say I like it like that, but in reality, I actually much prefer this. More of this, please. And so, over the last 30 days, I've really been practicing more of this, please, as an affirmation when I'm experiencing, and I mean, 2021, let's not deny that it was a huge tower moment. Like, it's a year 5, it was a challenge, right? So, going into it, it's like I kind of, yeah, like everything just started to flounder and started to leave and started to move away from my sphere. And it felt really, really good. But now, over the last 30 days, since this beginning of eclipse season with that Taurus moon, full moon eclipse that happened in November, I've really been saying more of this, please. I really enjoy when this happens in my life. I really love talking to this person. I really love being in the energy sphere of this alignment. I really want to be coming live more. I like this. I want more of this, please. Please make this possible. Please open the doors. Please create the tower moments in which I need in order to really achieve this, so that I have no choice. I can't lie to myself anymore. I have to embrace who I am, what I'm doing, and where I'm going. So it's Wednesday, it's the day of messages. So we might feel like our intuition is opening up a lot more, especially under this Taurus moon. It's really important to be thinking about, our structure, ourselves. Taurus is traditionally known as kind of this material realm, right? And what is our body but the most material thing that we possess, that we have, right? We are both mind, body, soul, right? Feelings, emotions, whatever. And so, really, instead of focusing on the stability during these tower moments through the external, comfort food, blankets, tea, that kind of stuff, really sinking into and being in that feeling of what does my body need? What does my emotions need in order to create stability in my body? So when these tower moments arise, and the more that these tower moments arise, I can see the perspective of thank you. I want more of that. And that doesn't mean that like you need to start like changing routines or anything. Well, actually it does mean that you need to start changing routines, but like it doesn't mean that you have to start huge with the changing of routines. It starts small, right? And so maybe you do commit to like I need to have a bath once a week. That's something that really makes me feel good. It's a non-negotiable, right? I talk, if you've sat with me, I talk about non-negotiables. What is a non-negotiable in your life? And how are you going to achieve stepping into that non-negotiable? It's another way of saying like it's a boundary. Some of our boundaries we can ebb and flow with, and some of our boundaries are like, no, this is a non-negotiable. Like this is what I need in order to create stability in my life. So this Venus retrograde that's happening on Sunday, that it goes until January 29th. So we have just over a month with this Venus retrograde. Venus rules the sign of Taurus as well as the sign of Libra, both of which deal with relationship. Taurus, like I said, our relationship to material goods, changing that perspective to tangible things like money or resources into our own material body. And Libra, which is the ruler of relationships, right? How we see and balance ourselves within relationship to people. So allowing yourself over this Venus retrograde, which goes in the sign of Capricorn, which I might be like, it's a lot of stuff, but Capricorn is the workhorse of the zodiac. They love achievement. They are a very divine masculine energy. When they're in balance, they hold their authority very well and welcome opinions of others, welcome the opinions of the divine feminine, welcome this, deep seated, rooted wisdom that comes from the internal body. And when they're out of balance, they're seeking validation from the external world around them. What can I achieve? What can I have that I maybe didn't have before that can validate, yes, I'm on the right path. Yes, I'm in the right realm of where I want to be. And so when we take all these three things coming into alignment at this time, we really have this mix of being like, I can no longer lie to myself. I can no longer be in an energy that really truly does not serve me. And that doesn't mean that I hate or that this thing is now villainized in my life. What it does mean is that I've realized that it's not actually soul nourishing. It's not something that I want to really fill me up, fill my sorry, I'm reading a comment and so Tara says that they are a Capricorn, right? That's something that's really going to fill me up inside, make me feel like whatever tower moment comes into my life, it's there for my enlightenment. Hello, Cher. So nice to see you, beautiful soul. Thank you. So where can you say to yourself, I want more of that? And the more that you align to that energy, the more that you're like, ooh, that felt really good. And stepping into that. So last night I did an hour of just sitting in stillness and really focusing. If you are a womb holder or you carry more weight around your hips are going to be an emotional center for you. And so this has to do with our root and our sacral chakra. This is where that divine masculine can really become unbalanced, because depending on how our root chakra was formed in early life, in early development, in the conditioning that we were kind of raised in, we might be that like people pleaser. We might be stepping out of our comfort zone more often than not in order to kind of appease the environment around us instead of appeasing to the environment within us and what we truly needed. And so like think about for a moment, like when you were upset as a child, were you allowed your emotions, or were you told that your emotions weren't valid for one reason or another? You shouldn't cry because people have it worse than you. It didn't hurt that bad. Like you're overreacting, you're over that, like dramatic, you're being dramatic. Sorry. I am channeling as I do this. So what last night I watched Alice in Wonderland, but the live action version with Johnny Depp, and there's at one point the Mad Hatter says to Alice, you're not Alice because you've lost your too muchness and you need your muchness. She kind of, paused and thought about that. And Alice, if you know the story of Alice in Wonderland, she is a very curious young woman. She's 20 years old in the story of the Disney version. And she has returned to Wonderland from when she was a child and had that great adventure in Wonderland. And when she was a child, she was fearless. She was able, right? She had more courage. Whereas as this adult version of her, and as she's kind of been looking around and people are trying to fit her into expectations that they have of her, and as she's listening and going, if that's the way for stability, then I'm going to try and relieve my too muchness. When she found that that's actually her strength. So, this is the integration of shadow that we've all been waiting for over this last year, right? All these things that came up that were like, wow, this is too much. I'm too much. If we've taken the time and really sat in stillness and really allowed for our root chakra to open us to see where we crave stability, to allow this opening, right, within these tower moments, to really hear the divine messages that, we like to think that they're coming from the ethers, but what I've been really realizing over the last 6 months is that they don't. They actually come from deep within us, deep within that root chakra, deep within that sacral chakra. And it's how we listen and respond into those that we're able to go, oh, there it is. And it's how much we trust ourselves to be like, no, I'm willing to be the villain. I'm willing to be the witch in someone else's life, which is, oftentimes a perception that we hold, in order to say, yes, please, more of that to our inner knowing. That is our shadow. Like, that is 100% our shadow. When you hear your inner voice go, I don't want that, and you go, no, no, we do want this, you're suppressing your shadow. You're suppressing what's really going to create alignment in your life. Now, there is a difference between resistance. So, this is something I've never done before. And so it's scary for me to step into this, and a hard no. And it requires you to get really still. observe. And, if for 2021 for me, that's really what I did. I just started removing things. Okay, this doesn't feel energetically aligned anymore. So I'm going to remove it. I'm going to remove it. I'm going to tweak it. And then I'm going to remove more. And I'm going to come back into my root chakra. I'm going to come back into my sacral chakra. Where do I hear more? Yes, that is what I want. And it's meeting that version of self that keeps us away from there. Yeah. So share. I'm glad that this feels good for you. And Erica, I'm glad that that this is speaking to yourself lately. I'm glad that this is resonating for people and that people are going, yeah, I really need to listen to this. Right? It's interesting because all year I've been taking breaks, shutting down my schedule and just really kind of stepping into these tower moments, giving myself time to integrate. But I haven't actually taken a lot of time off of my platforms. So I might not be meeting people in person, but I'm also not giving myself a real time to rest and to integrate the processes that have been happening for me. Tara, I'm so glad that this is resonating with you. Amazing. Great. I love it. I love that. And so I decided I was trying to write a newsletter that's going out on Thursday if you're signed up for What's Brewing. I was like, oh, I really want this to be profound. 2021 was just such a fucking year for me. Bleep, bleep. It just, I'm sitting in it and I'm like, that was a lot. I went through so much, for myself, not for other people, for myself. I went through so much. I'm so proud of the growth that I experienced over 2021. I'm so proud at the woman that I can look at in the mirror and be like, we freaking did it, kid. Look at us. We're here. And as I'm like, this is what helped, da 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 da. The more inside, I was just like, ugh, this is gross. I don't want to share this out. I don't this seems stupid to me. Having to share this. What do I really want to say to people? What do I really want? And so I just cut to the chase. And I decided in that moment, and it took me 4 days of observing, coming back, right? Sitting, not looking for that instant gratification of, I did it. Look, I did it. Look. And instead switching my perspective into that deep rootedness of this is something I'm proud of. This is the kind of gratification that I really want in my life. Not just this well, I got it done and it's done and awesome, but this more softer version of look at what I crafted. And so over those 4 days, over those 5 days, I kept sitting with it. And I'd go for a walk and I'd sit with it some more. And the more that I sat with it, the more that I said, I want 2 weeks off. I want 2 weeks off of platforms. I know that I've committed to coming into conversations with spirit and the moon. I know that I've committed to opening my space up on Sundays and seeing people on Sundays. But I also know that I've committed to myself more than this. And that the more that I commit to myself, the more this grows. The more the things that I really enjoy, that I want more of, please, in my life, have the ability to integrate and grow. And so I decided from the 20th to the 2nd, I'm taking Yule off. I'm giving myself the opportunity to just be, to really absorb and take in all that 2021 had to offer me, all the tower moments it brought me, all the times that I was like, how am I going to do this? And I sat in stillness, and all of a sudden I went, yeah, there it is. So Tara said, that's amazing awareness. You all have that awareness within your body. You all have that awareness. And this is where magic really lies. It's the awareness of your own abilities. It's the awareness of tuning into your cycles. It's the awareness of tuning in to that inner critic, that inner knowing, and really being like, how does this feel? What are emotions but the whispers from our soul? And we either deny them or we step into them, knowing that sometimes when our whispers come up, we're not going to like what we hear or see. But it's meeting that version of ourselves and going, not can I extend unconditional love out into the ethers? Can I extend unconditional love to me? Because I have to live with my rooted system always. And if I don't like where I've planted my roots, I am not a plant, and it doesn't take very long for me. I don't have to kind of search and see where all these roots are. I can simply say I can do one thing to change that. So that for the last 30 days, I've committed to a walk a day and a 10-minute meditation. And it's amazing the stillness that brings into my life, that has allowed me to really see and integrate my shadow. And so as we begin Venus retrograde, and as this kind of comes into our awareness closer to um yeah, fear. So I'm going to talk to that in a minute. Actually, I'm going to talk to it now. In the next 2 weeks, right? As we step into this Venus retrograde, what is it about fear that actually scares you? Right? So Tara says, sometimes stepping in is so scary. I find fear is my worst enemy. I would love it, Tara, if you could say, fear is my greatest ally into knowing exactly where I want to go. What's scary is that you're going to have to leave a version of yourself behind that created safety and stability in your life. So it might not be that you're actually taking action right now. It might actually just be a switch in perspective for you. We don't have to jump right into that action phase. We get to observe and go, ooh, I like that. I like when I've shown up like that. How do I create more of that in my life? Cher, thank you so much. Hey, Becky. So, how can you switch that perspective from fear is my worst enemy to fear is my best ally? Fear tells me I am on to something really, really good. I am doing something I've never, ever done before. And I'm not scared to meet versions of myself that I might not like, but I sure as hell am going to love in order to allow that shadow to integrate and become or step into the light. These tower moments, right? They're never, ever, ever something to fear. They're never, ever something to fear. They're always something to go, I can't wait for that because I know, like, think about your growth. Really think about your growth. As a young child, we grow so rapidly, so very quickly, right? My nephew is turning 8 in a few days. And it's just like, the other day I was like talking to him and he's like, he's always just been such a really wise soul. And he always he's just so cute, and he'll tell you all the things that are happening with him, and you'd be like, "All right, buddy, thanks so much." And he'll be like, "Wait, how are you? What's going on with you?" And but watching him grow, he's just, think about the things that we had to learn as children. Think about the things that we absorbed and took in as children while our bodies were just rapidly changing at the same time. And so thinking of this with our shadow self, with the integration of that shadow self, and being like, how is this opening me up to growth? How is this opening me up to really take on? And this is something that I've really been discovering, is that my inner divine masculine and my inner divine feminine did not trust each other at all. At all. My inner divine masculine was like, no, no, I need to protect you from this. And my inner divine feminine was going, F you. I don't need protection from this. And so it was this constant battle between my shadow self, right? My divine feminine, my creative center being like, I want to do this. And my divine feminine masculine going, maybe not, maybe not. Might not be a good idea. We need to stay safe. Remember, safety's here. And so giving a voice, switching the perspective here, instead of using that inner voice, giving voice to our inner divine masculine and being like, yeah, what do you need to feel safety? Do you need to see a tangible reinforcement right now? Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. More of that, please. If you own a business, or if you're looking for a love relationship and someone's speaking to your heart, and more of that, I want more of that. But you have to be willing to get vulnerable within that. You have to be willing to meet parts of yourself that you're like, oh crap. Yep, that's me. Yep, that's me. Wow, that is what I was bringing to the table. That's what I was plating and serving to other people, and then wondering why. Ooh, why is that not hitting right? Why is that not absorbing the way that I thought it was going to absorb? Why is that not as nourishing as I thought it was going to be? So Erica says, this is just soul hitting. Was so meant to be here today. Everything aligned for me to be here and watch for sure. That's him being born on the winter solstice for you. Yeah, he is a winter solstice baby. He's very like, hey, I welcome your dark. Your dark is okay with me here. So I want to go back to this hip opener that I did last night. So as some of you who have been following me know, I had an injury 4 weeks ago now, and it was to my root chakra, like literally to my root chakra. And I've started seeing an osteopath. And the osteopath actually said to me, it's not really, yeah, like your tailbone is bruised. It's going to take a little while for it to heal. But that's not actually what concerns me the most. What concerns me the most is your hips. So when we think about our hips, yes, they are connected because they come down into our root chakra, but they also hold our our sacral chakra. That's the bowl in which our sacral chakra really sits in and lives in. So this is where my divine feminine lives, and the root chakra, you could say, is kind of where this divine masculine lives. They both rule our sexual organs. They both rule our the way that we present out to the world. This is really where our shadow lives, breathes, and either comes alive or is like, I'm going to play small. My divine masculine says, I'm going to play small. So I'm going to play small. It's where we learn, are we going to respond to this situation, or are we going to react to this situation, right? Knowing that neither one is good or bad, it just is, but observing it and going, do I like showing up that way? And so over the last 4 weeks, like I said, I've been walking, I've been meditating, I've been breathing down into my pelvic bowl, really opening up the diaphragm that sits there. And last night, I was able to get into this really amazing hip opening that I haven't been able to do in such a long time when I was practicing yoga every single day, when I was volunteering at a yoga studio and I had access to, you know, yoga whenever I wanted to. And what I found was interesting was that I haven't really been practicing yoga. I've been practicing breathing. I've been practicing creating space in my life in this area. I've been really focusing on that, more of that, please. And last night, as I sat and I said to myself, I want to stretch. This is where my mind, this is where my shadowy self is coming up. And so I'm going to stretch. And I spent an hour going deeper and deeper into a hip flex and allowing the emotion that needed to come up. Because if you are a womb holder or if you carry more weight around your hips, this is where your emotions are stored. And I allowed it. And I felt it huge in my heart. And I said, "You're safe here." And I just kept repeating that because fear, as Tara said, fear kept creeping in. Oof, if I go deeper, it's going to create a hip kink. And then I'm going to have to walk around and I'm going to have to get out of this and I'm going to lose this feeling. And I said, "No, you're not. We can ease out of this if we start to feel that. And we can still be in this because this feels good and this is where we want to be." So thank you, fear, for letting me know that I might be pushing a little bit too hard, too quickly in this stretch. And I'm going to release out of it just a little bit. And I'm going to breathe more into that pelvic bowl. I'm going to breathe more into that bottom diaphragm that really opens me up to receive love, that really opens me up to see fear, that really opens me up to be in that shadowy self, giving it a voice and saying, "You're welcome here. You're no longer shunned. You're no, my divine masculine has a voice. He no longer feels like he has to create huge authority in my life in order to keep my divine feminine safe." And I mean, yeah, I might go back into this way of whatever, but that's not the way that I'm thinking anymore. My perspective has changed and said more of that. I'm really enjoying that. So I want more of that. Something else that my divine masculine has come into as I'm doing this release work is that I don't have to have all the answers, right? Going back to that story about my um my last email for the month, right? I wanted to have all the answers. I wanted this to be very, this is why this happened to me this year. This is how you can achieve it too. This is da 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 da. Da. And I went, "No, I don't have to have all the answers. I can actually just be me. I don't have to perform for anyone because I am the answer. I am the key." So as we move into this Venus retrograde, as we move closer and closer to this full moon, what I'm going to kind of put out into the ethers here is to be in stillness. Take 30 seconds when you can and breathe. Just breathe through your nose. Be in stillness. Start to notice what comes to mind as you're still. And start questioning, is that a real thought? Is that really what I want or not? And again, just be in stillness, just observe it. Give yourself a voice. Validate that voice. Last night, someone sent me a video of what looked like orbs in the video. And the person said, "I need you to tell me what you feel from this. What do you feel from this?" And so I turned the question back around. What do you feel from it? What do you feel from it? Like, you're reaching out, you're coming here. So what do you feel from it? Before I implant my views on you, I want you to speak what you feel from this. And so the person said, I don't like how many orbs are in this. It makes me feel very bad. It makes me feel very bad vibes. It makes me feel like there's too many of them here. And I said, why does it make you feel like that? Well, I've never seen that many before. And so it really scares me. Hmm. What's happening in the video? The video was lovely. It was a beautiful, beautiful video of a child and a dog playing fetch or something. And I said, what in that video of love would make you feel fear? And all of a sudden their perspective changed and said, yeah, you're right. This is a really lovely video. Why? How could anything negative attach to that atmosphere of love, of that vibration that you're putting out? What could attach to that? And so they, I kind of let that be for a little while. And they responded and said, you know what? I realized it's because I had never seen something like that before, that it was actually, I was afraid. I was afraid of my own intuition. I was afraid of my own power. And like, what a beautiful thing to tune into. What a beautiful thing, instead of going, I don't know this, and so I'm going to be scared of it, to getting curious, observing, being in stillness with it, and being like, what is this really? What is this really? Am I afraid? Because yes, my divine masculine is like, nope, these are red flags. We've been here before. We've seen this. We do not want this. I'm going to step in for the divine feminine and be like, listen, chick, it's time to pull out. Or is my divine masculine stepping in a moment of fear of the unknown? And so instead of seeing that as something that's going to create negativity in our lives, being like, no, actually, I was riding pretty high when I seen that. I really enjoyed that feeling, and stepping into it. Okay, so quick recap. We have the end of eclipse season, Chiron going direct, and Venus going retrograde, all on the 19th. Venus will be retrograde in the sign of Capricorn until January 29th. We will feel its effects until late February. So we can anticipate that over these beginning of December, these 3 months, that we're really being asked to step into our own inner divine masculine and inner divine feminine, giving each a voice, seeing our fear as an ally, being in stillness and observing, and creating action when it really feels good. When we're like, yeah, more of that. I want more of that. Not being afraid of what it's going to look like to other people, because what actually matters is what it looks and feels like to us. Under the full moon, really sitting with, if you can, if you do nothing else under this full moon to end eclipse season, sitting with and feeling into your inner voice. It's not putting on a guided meditation. It's not, listening. It's really just sitting with yourself, allowing the thoughts to come and being like, nope, we're sinking back down. That's a to-do list. Thank you so much. And sinking back down and just continuing to come back into that rhythm of breath, right? Breathing in, sinking down. When we start to notice that our mind goes from our breath to our thoughts, thank you so much. I'm going to breathe back down. I know I'm going to handle that the way that it needs to be handled. Thank you so much. When we start having a conversation with someone in our head, breathing back down. And here is when we're going to get to notice. That's when I'm receiving a thought. That's when a thought comes forward to me. That's like, ooh, that's juicy. I want more of that thought. Yes, 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 yes. Or when we're willing a thought into existence, when we're playing that radio over and over and over in our head, when that feeling within our body is no longer a connectedness, but a disconnection of I need to do this instead of I get to do this. So being in stillness, especially over these next few days, really being in stillness, really breathing into your body, paying attention to how that feels, paying attention to how deep that breath can go. You may notice that at the beginning of the day, it starts here and ends here, but as you breathe more and more and more, it starts to go deeper and deeper into your body. And each time you feel that expansion happening, saying, yes, more of that, please. I like that feeling. It might scare me, but I like that feeling. It's exhilarating. Thank you. And not being afraid of the version of self that comes forward. And instead of saying, I don't like you, saying, I understand you and I love you. I love you. Acceptance. Just accepting. This is who I am. And that's okay. I don't need acceptance from other people. I'd like acceptance from other people. But I don't need acceptance from other people because I accept myself. And the more that we accept ourselves, the more that people that resonate and love and accept us start coming in. This is why these tower moments are so scary, because the more that we come into ourselves, the more we're afraid of losing past versions of ourselves and the people that helped keep that past version secure, safe. It's not sending them out in love. It's not sending them out in hate. It's not sending them out in hate. It's sending them out in love. Thank you so much for holding that space for me. But now I'm ready for this. So does anyone have any questions? Anything that's kind of like coming up for them? I've seen a few people pop in and out, that kind of stuff, which is cool. It's 11 a.m. on a Wednesday here in Ontario. This is where I'm really focusing my energy in 2022. And so I'm still going to be doing tarot readings, individual tarot readings, but my main focus is going to be on working with individuals one-on-one for 5 or 6 weeks at a time in order to really sit with and be in that shadow, allowing it to step forward, feeling into the safety we get to create in order to allow that to birth. 2022 is a year of love. We're going to experience so much love in 2022, but it starts with us. It starts with us saying, I could lie and say I like it like that, but I love myself more than that. And so I'm actually going to speak my voice. I'm going to speak my truth. It doesn't have to be external. It can be internal. I actually don't like that. So I'm going to stop showing up there, or I'm going to put a boundary there. And allowing that to open us and allowing that to be like, more of that, please. More of that, please. That's who I am. That's the version of me that really just chef's kiss. All right. So I probably will be live again in the next couple days, getting closer to that full moon. Sunday is the last day to have an in-person service with me at Balance Support and Self-Care Studio until the new year. So if you'd like to book in, please book in. My calendar will be shut down as of the 20th until the 2nd. So you can still book, like you can still go on my calendar and book, but it'll be after that. So Tara says, thanks for encouraging me to switch perspective of fear. You're very welcome. I'm afraid to succeed or perhaps fail. Yeah, I would say it's succeed. You're afraid to succeed because what does that mean if I succeed? I know what it means to fail. I don't know what it means to succeed in a way that, really lights me up. You're very, very welcome, Tara. All right, beautiful souls. Thank you so much for joining me today. It has been such a pleasure. I will see you next time. I'm Karena. This is The Witch's Inn. Until later. Bye.